Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. Okay, so if you're just seeing me for the first time, you're welcome. My name is Stella. Okay, so today we're going to learn how to draft a blouse with a bust dart. Okay, so we'll draft, we'll cut, and we'll sew. Okay, so let's get right into the drafting video. All right, so I went ahead to just create my pattern. Okay, now her bust is 42, so half of that is 21. Now I took half of that, okay, then I went ahead to divide it into two further. So 21 divided by 2 is 10.5. okay, but I added extra 1.5. I added extra 2.5 inches allowance. So what I have here basically is 13. I have 13 inches here and I have 13 inches here. Okay, so I said let me explain that to us, then the rest are just normal margins. Okay, so let's start with the drafting. We'll call here our center back, our CB line. Okay, and here will be our center front line. Okay, so let's start. Now we'll be working with a shoulder of 16.5, so half of that is 8.25. Then we're working with a neck width of 3, so neck width of 3, shoulder of 8.25. Now in this pattern we're going to be adding all our allowances. Okay, so 8.25 plus half inch for joining, that's 8.75. that's what we have here. Okay, then we'll go ahead and mark our neck depth, a neck depth of 1 inch. Remember that this is the back, so we have 3 inches neck width by 1 inch neck depth, shoulder of 8.25 plus 0.5 joining allowance. We'll repeat the same for the front. We have neck width of 3 inches, shoulder of 8.25 plus half inch for joining, that's 8.75. Now the neck depth for the front is also 3 inches. So for the front is 3 by 3, for the back is 3 by 1. Now we'll go ahead and connect these measurements together. Okay, then we'll connect the back as well. Okay, now here we have it. Now the next thing we're going to do is to take our slope. Now the standard slope, shoulder slope for the back is 1 inch. So we'll go ahead and mark that 1 inch. Then the slope for the front standard is 1.5. So we'll mark that. Then we'll go ahead and connect that to, we'll go ahead and connect it to our neck width. Okay, let's also connect the front. Let me darken the neckline so we can see it properly. Okay, let me do the same for the back. Okay, so here we have it. We have sloped the front, we sloped the front with 1.5 and the back with 1 inch. Okay, remember our shoulder is 8.25 plus 0.5 joining, so that's 8.75 here. Now the next thing we're going to do is to get your armhole line, you do your bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5, and her bust is 42. 42 over 6 will give you 7 plus 1.5 will give you 8.5. so you simply place your tape like so and you mark your 8.5. okay, now we'll take our tape back to the starting point so that we can get a straight line, and then from the starting point, which is 1 inch here, to this 8.5 we have here, what we have here now is 9.5. okay, so we'll go ahead and mark 9.5 across like so. Then we'll connect this with a straight line. Okay, now we've connected the line, so we can go ahead and label This is our chest line. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is to repeat our shoulder marking on the chest line. And remember, our shoulder mark, our shoulder over 2, that's 8.25, plus the 0.5, that's 8.75. Okay, we'll go ahead and mark the same here. Shoulder divided by 2 plus 0.5 joining, that's 8.75. Okay, and then we'll connect this with a straight line. We'll connect this with a broken line because we don't make use of this line. Okay, so you go ahead and connect with a broken line because we don't make use of it. Okay, so here we have it. Now the next thing we're going to do is to go ahead and take all our vertical measurements. Now let's start with the front. Her bust length is 10.5. Her waist length is 17.5. Now the blouse length is 27. The blouse length is 27. Okay, then we add 1 inch allowance for the hemming. Okay, remember I said we're adding all our allowances to this pattern. Okay, now we'll repeat the same marking here. So we'll go ahead and join and connect this with a straight line. Okay, so let's label. This is our bust point, this is the waist, and this is the full length of the blouse, and this is the allowance. Okay, now we'll take our markings for the back as well. For the back, the back length is 15.5. Now the full length for the back, remember the front, the full length is 27. Okay, now for the back, the full length, you're also going to subtract 2 inches from it. Now the half length for the front is 17.5. now the half length for the back is 15.5, so the difference is 2 inches. So you're also going to subtract the 2 inches from the full length. Okay, so what we have here for the back, the half length is 15.5. now the full length is 27 minus 2 inches, so that's 25. Okay, then we'll go ahead and add our 1 inch hemming allowance. We'll repeat the same measurements here. We'll go ahead and connect these lines. Then we'll label as well. So this is the back half length. Okay, now this is the blouse full length and the allowance for hemming. Okay, let's proceed. Now her bust is 42 over 4, that's 10.5. we'll go ahead and mark our 10.5. then we're adding 1.5 allowance, 1.5 inches allowance. Okay, so remember we marked on the chest line and not on the bust point. Now her waist round is 37, and 37 over 4, that's 9.25. you place it from the starting point and mark your 9.25. then we're adding 1.5 as well, 1.5 allowance. Then at this blouse full length, the circumference around this point, I like to call it the blouse hip. So the circumference is 43, and 43 over 4, that's 10.75. we'll go ahead and place our marking there and add 1.5 inches our allowance as well. We repeat the same on the allowance. Okay, the circumference over 4 plus 1.5. Then we'll go ahead and connect these lines. Now in connecting, you find out that let me use broken lines to connect first so that you can see what I'm trying to explain. Because this is a slightly free blouse, okay? Now, if you look at this, you can see that there's a sharp V kind of here, okay? And that's not what we want because it's a slightly free blouse, okay? So now on the waist side, we'll come outward by 0.5, okay? Then we're going to connect back. Okay, see the way I place my curve? Place my curve like so. So we're connecting from this bust round over 4 to the ½ inch on the waistline that we just came out with. Okay, can you see how it's looking now? Can you see that it looks better now? Okay, we're still going to come in with our colored pencil and highlight that part, but let's just leave it at this. Now let's take our bust span. Our bust span is 8.5, and 8.5 over 2, that's 4.25. So we come to the bust point line and we place our 4.25 there. Now we're going to be imputing our bust dart, but we cannot connect it straight to this her bust span divided by 2. We're going to go out by 1.5. okay, so we'll go out by 1.5 like so. We'll measure down her bust dart. Remember the difference between the half length in the front and the back is 2 inches, okay? So you place your tape on your bust point line like so, and you measure down your 2 inches, okay? Now we're going to connect from here to the 1.5 that we came out with. So here we have it. Now let's go back to the armhole line. Now for the armhole line, we're going to go up from the chest line by 3 inches, okay? So we'll go up by the chest line, on the chest line by 3 inches, and we'll come in by 0.75, okay? Then we're going to connect from the shoulder tip to that 0.75. Then we finish up with a curve. But in doing that, I want to take the armhole a bit up so that it doesn't reveal the bust, okay? So I'm going up here by 0.5, okay? So I'm going up this line by 0.5. Now simply place your curve. Now the curve, instead of resting on the chest line, is going to rest on this 0.5 we came up with now. Okay, so here we have it. We're simply going to use our pencil to extend it to the 1.5 inches allowance that we have there, okay? Then we will still take it up here with our pencil because we are still going to reshape that side, okay? Now this is it for the front. We are done with the front, okay? Now let's get to the back. For the back, on the armhole line, we will measure the entire armhole. Like what we have here is 8.5, and half of that is 4.25. Now on that midpoint, we'll go in by 0.5, okay? So we're going to connect from the shoulder tip to the 0.5 with a straight line like so. Then we'll finish up with a curve. Remember, we went up on the chest line in the front by 0.5. We're doing the same here, okay? We're doing the same here. But before we mark the back. Okay, so for the back, we'll need to tighten the waist point, okay, so that that place does not bulge, because this blouse is not going to have a zip, but we still need the back to be relaxed. Okay, now on the waistline, we'll go in by 0.5. Now we're going to be connecting that upwards like so. Okay, now at this point, I like to take the entire line like so, and then take the middle. The entire line is 8.5. From the neck depth to the chest line is 8.5. Half of that is 4.25. Okay, now we're going to be extending our tightening from this waist point to this 4.25 mark that we have here, and then down to this allowance. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so here we have it. Now we're going to go ahead and take our bust circumference. Her bust is 42 over 4, that's 10 points, that's 10.5. so we'll go ahead and place our 10.5 mark here, and then we're adding 1.5 allowance. Okay, now her waist is 37 over 4, that's 9.25. now we're placing it from this 0.5 tightening that we have there. So I'll mark my 9.25, and then I'll also add my 1.5. Okay, now her blouse hip is 43, and 43 over 4, that's 10.75. Okay, I'll place my tape here, mark my 10.75, add my 1.5 allowance. Now it's time for us to connect. Remember that on the waistline for the front, we came out by 0.5. We're still going to repeat the same here. Let's go ahead and connect. Now, our 0.5 that we came up with on the chest line for the front, we're repeating the same here at the back. So this is where the curve is going to rest on. So we're simply going to place our curve like so. Okay, now here we have it. We are just going to take our pencil and extend the allowance as well by 0.5. Okay, then we are connecting it this way. Okay, so here we have it. We're also going to finish it up here. Now let's connect the the round measurements. Okay, so here we have it for the back. Now the next alteration we're going to do is to, let me use my pen to darken here. The only part we are leaving is the bust point side, so that when we close, we will reshape properly. Okay, now for the neck part, we're going to alter the neck a bit. Now for the neck width, I want the neck width to be 3.75. I don't want it too wide, so that's 3.75 here. Okay, now for the neck depth, I also want it to be 3.75, just slightly below the collarbone. Okay, now we're going to connect, but before we do that, I want to tighten the neckline a bit. So to tighten it, from this place we'll go down by 0.5. Okay, so I'm going to connect my neckline now. This is my 3.75. Okay, so this is my 3.75. So let's reshape the neckline. Okay, so this is a new neckline I will be working with. Now I'll go ahead and add my 1/2 inch. Remember I said that this pattern we're imputing all our allowances. Okay. Okay, so here we have it. Now we'll go ahead and add our joining allowance for the shoulder. So we're not making use of this first 3 inches neck. Okay, so let's add our 0.5 joining allowance for the shoulder. Okay, we'll go ahead and connect that. Okay, so this is it for the front. We're done. Now let's alter the neck, the back neckline as well. Remember that we tightened the front with 0.5. Now for the back, you tighten it with 0.25. So you connect it back to the shoulder tip. This is not going to shorten anything. Now for the depth of the neckline, originally what we have here is 1 inch. Now let's use 1.75. Okay, let's use 1.75 by our 3.75. So go ahead and connect. Then we're adding our 1/2 inch allowance as well on the shoulder. Here we have it. Okay, so that's it. We're done with the drafting. Now the next thing for us to do is to separate the front and the back patterns. Now this is the back and this is the front. Now for the front, let's close our bust that. So you're simply picking it up, fold it along this line. So fold it along this line that we have here. Now when you do this, normally you're supposed to cut one dart open to be able to close another, but the essence of what I'm doing is just for us to reshape this side. Now you can see that this is where the original line we had is, so it's not meeting up now. So you just come in with your ruler. So you come in with your ruler and blend that. Okay, so this is it. This is the new line that we have now. Okay, so when we are cutting, we will cut it like so. Okay, okay, so this is how we're going to be cutting, so that when we fold, it will lay flat. Or we're going to be cutting so that when we fold, it will lay flat, or best bet for us, so that we can all be clear. Remember that the bust that is 2 inches. Okay, now we're going to take the middle of that 2 inches, which is 1 inch. Now on that 1 inch will come out by 0.75. okay, so we're connecting the two dots, the two lines here. Okay, this is so that when you close, it will blend well. Okay, okay, so this is what we have here now, and that's it. We'll go ahead and cut. So this is the front pattern and this is the back pattern. Now by the time we close this bust dart, it will be the same. It will be the same with the back pattern. Can you see? By the time we close it, it will be the same with the back pattern. So let's go ahead and cut. Okay, so this is it for the front. Okay, now for the back. Okay, so for the back, since we're imputing all our allowances here, now at the center back, I would like to add my joining allowance of 1/2 inch. Okay, there's going to be a joining at this back. Okay, now it's going to be along the slant line that we have. Okay, so I'll go ahead and connect. Okay, so here we have it for the back. Now let's go ahead and cut. Okay, so here we have it, our patterns are ready. So here we have it, our patterns are ready. This is the front and this is the back. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to, now on the fabric, this is how we're going to place it. Okay, this is how we're going to close our dart. Okay, now by the time we close our dart, you can see that the front and the back, they are meeting. Can you see that the front and the back, they are meeting? Okay, now that's it with the pattern. All right guys, you're welcome back. Okay, so let's draft her sleeve. Okay, now her sleeve length is 24. Okay, now remember that the sleeve is going to have a 2 inches cuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to subtract that from the sleeve length. Okay, so the sleeve length here will be 22. Okay, so that's 22 plus 1 inch allowance. Now the 1 inch, half is to join to the shoulder of the main body and then half is to join to the cuff. So what we have here in total is 23. We'll repeat the same measurement here. Then we'll go ahead and connect this line. Okay, so that's the sleeve length. Okay, let's label the sleeve length and the allowance. Now her cap height. Okay, so to get your cap height, you're going to do your bust round divided by 12 plus 1. Now her bust round is 42. 42 divided by 12, that will give you 3.5 plus 1, that's 4.5. So you go ahead and place your tape and make a mark there at the 4.5. Okay, and we're connecting that with a straight line. Now this is her cap height. This is her cap height. Okay, now let's proceed. So to get her armhole curve, we're going to repeat what we did when we were drafting the main bodies, which is her bust round divided by 6 plus 1.5. Her bust round is 42. 42 over 6 plus 1.5, that will give you 8.5. So we have 8.5 here. And then we're adding our joining allowance, our sewing allowance of 1.5. Let's come down here. Now this is going to be a shirt sleeve. Okay, so her round sleeve is 9, but we're adding 4 inches to that total. Okay, just for the tiny pleats. So now 9 plus 4, that will give us 13, and now 13 over 2, that's 6.5. So we'll go ahead and mark our 6.5 here. Then we add our 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, now we're connecting from here to meet this point. You can use your straight line, then we'll still come in with our curve so that it will have a little shape. Okay, now this is what we have first. but we'll still come in with our curve. Okay, now at this point, okay, we will make this alteration on the main fabric when we cut out. Okay, now let's proceed here. What we're going to do is measure this entire line. Remember that her armhole line here is 8.5. Now we're going to go ahead here and mark the 8.5. Okay, now we're going to take the middle of this 8.5. 8.5 over 2, that's 4.25. We'll make a mark there. Now the 4.25, we're going to take the middle. Okay, so simply place your tape like so. Okay, so let me take it again. Her armhole line that we got here, we did her bust round divided by 6 plus 1.5, and we got 8.5. So you simply place your tape like so and mark the same 8.5, which I've done. Now we're going to take the middle of this 8.5, which is 4.25. We have the mark here. Now we're going to take the middle of this 4.25. Okay, now we simply place your tape to rest on that 4.25 like so. Okay, then fold it into 2. Let the tip touch the 4.25. Okay, like this, and then you make a mark there. Now at this 4.25 that we have here, we'll come down by 1 inch. Sorry, we'll come down by 1 inch here. Okay, so we've come down by 1 inch. Now we're going to be connecting a curve that will run from here to meet this 1 inch, okay, slope, then to end here. Okay, so here we have it. The curve is ready. I'll go ahead and use my marker pen to darken that for us to see. Okay, remember I told us that we're going to still reshape this side. Now to reshape it, just come in with a little curve, because her short sleeve round is 16. Okay, so that's your guide. Place it there. Her short sleeve round is 16. Then our allowance of 1.5 is here. Okay, so that's our guide. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut out the cuff. Okay, now remember we took out a cuff of 2 inches. Now it's time for us to draft that back. Okay, let's just take a marginal line. Now her round sleeve is 9. Okay, so we're going to mark the 9. Now this is her round sleeve here. Okay, so go ahead and mark that out. Then this part is going to be on fold. Okay, so let's put the unfold sign here. This side is on fold. Now her cuff width is 2 inches, so we're going to measure out our 2 inches and add the ½ inch for joining to the main sleeve. So what we have here is 2.5. so we'll go ahead and measure our 2.5 as well, and then we'll connect that. So this is what we are cutting out now. Okay, so that's what we are cutting out. This is her cuff. So that's it, we're done. Next thing we're going to do is to transfer them to the fabric, and then we'll trace out. Okay, hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. Okay, so I went ahead to transfer the patterns to the fabric. Okay, so this is the front piece, I've transferred it, and then this is the back piece as well. Okay, now for the front piece, I also went ahead to cut out a facing. Okay, so the facing is 3.5 inches wide. Okay, so it's 3.5 round. So this is the facing for the front. I also cut out the facing for the back as well. Now for the front, transferred our bust dart. Okay, I've transferred it to this. That's why I still have the center pinned. So I simply measured, if you're wondering how you can do that, I simply measured the distance from the center front to where the bust dart started, and what I have here is 5.75. Okay, so I measured that, and if you can see my marking, okay, so I went ahead to draft my bust dart. Okay, then I gave a notch at these two sides. Okay, now I've pinned this side, but let me show us how to pin that. Okay, now the notches will guide you, so simply pick it up, align the notches together like so, then go ahead and pin down. Okay, so I'm done pinning. So if you turn to this side, okay, so I'm done pinning. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew on these marked lines that I have. I'll sew on this marked line like so. Then I'll also turn the neckline with this facing. Okay, so I'm turning only the neckline, and we're leaving the shoulders. Okay, and that will be it for the front. Now let's look at the back piece. Okay, so here is the back pattern. I also went ahead to transfer that to fabric. So here's my fabric for the back pattern. I have transferred. Okay, so remember our 0.5 joining. I told us that there is going to be a joining at the center back. So I have my pencil marks. No, this is white. So I have my pencil marks at the center back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch on this 0.5 allowance that we have. Then for the button, I came down from the neckline depth by 5.5. Okay, so that by the time I use 0.5 to turn the neckline, I'll be left with 5 inches. Okay, so that she can be able to wear it, so that her head will pass through comfortably. Okay, so that's it for the back. I'll go ahead and stitch on this, press it, and stop at this 5.5 mark. Okay, press it. Then I also cut out my facing as well. The facing is okay, so here's my facing. It's also measuring 3.5 inches wide. So I'll use 0.5. I have it marked. I'll use 0.5 to turn the necklines. Okay, so I'll do this, then I'll show us. But before then, you remember our sleeve. Okay, so you remember our sleeve. Okay, now here is our sleeve pattern. We have cut that out. Okay, so I went ahead to cut out my sleeve. Okay, so this is a cordless. I cut 2 of them, okay, out, and this is our cuff pattern. Okay, so I went ahead to cut out my cuff. Now in cutting this cuff, I first transferred this exact mark that we have here on my hairstay. I don't know if you can see. I transferred it to my hairstay. Okay, so I transferred my markings to my hairstay. Okay, then I folded in 0.5, okay, inwards like so, just like as if you're cutting a shirt collar. Okay, so I have my 0.5 folded in like so. Okay, then I have 0.5 here. So this is the same thing I did. We have 2 for our cuffs. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and work on the front and back pieces first, then before we get to the sleeve part. Okay, so I've joined, so I've stitched down the bust that. Okay, then I went ahead to press it. So this is it on the right side. Okay, so this is it on the right side. Okay, and then I've also stitched down the facing. Okay, now I use it to turn the neckline. Now that's it for the front. Okay, for the back, I've stitched down the 0.5 that we have in the middle. So I pressed it, that's why it's laying this flat. Now the neckline, the facing, I had to recut it because I needed it to extend to this point. Okay, so I used the facing to turn the neckline, then I added a loop also for the bottom. Okay, so that's it. Now the next thing for us to do is to mark our sewing allowance. Remember when we were cutting, we added 1.5. Okay, now out of that 1.5, we're only going to make use of 0.5 as the ease. So I've marked out my 1 inch. Okay, now on the waistline I marked out 1.25. Okay, so that it can have a little bit of shape. So on the waistline we have 1.25, then the chest line and the full length, what we have here is 1 inch. Okay, so I've connected, and I did the same also. For the front. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stitch on these lines. Okay, then after that I'll give it a good press. Now the cuff, this is the cuff. Okay, remember the way we folded. Now I've gone ahead to stitch down this side. Okay, so what we have in the middle is the actual cuff round that we measured. Okay, so this is this. I'm going to go ahead and turn this. After I turn, I'll give it a good press. Okay, so I'll turn and give it a good press. This is how it's going to look eventually. Now the sleeve, let's look at the sleeve. Okay, so this is the sleeve. You have to indicate the center of the sleeve. Okay, now from the center, so from the center you will measure what you have this side. Okay, so just measure what you have. Now total of what I have is about 7.75. Okay, so what you're going to do is just place your tape like so. Okay, then fold to meet the very tip. Okay, then you make a mark there. Now from this point we're going to come in further by ½ inch. Okay, or you can also make use of the middle of this side. Okay, now we'll go in. The length of the slit is 3.5. Okay, so you make a mark at that 3.5, and then we're going to rule a straight line inwards. So we're going to rule a straight line inwards like so. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Then at that point you give it just a little V. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and separate. Okay, then we'll use a fabric to pipe this side. Okay, so just like a bias, I'm going to go ahead and just get a piece of fabric and pipe this side. Okay, then I'll show us. So I have my piece of fabric now. Okay, so I'm going to use this to stitch on the right side. Okay, then flip it into the wrong side. I'll do that for this second sleeve. Okay, then after that I'll go ahead and join my sleeve. Remember our join allowance is 1 inch. I'll go ahead and join my sleeve. Okay, like so. Stitch down my 1 inch. Okay, after I stitch down my 1 inch, then I'll fix this. Okay, You can go ahead and check my previous video on how I joined my shirt collar. Okay, that's the same thing I'm going to do here. Okay, I'm going to give it a little pleat, then fix it into this because this is the cuff. Okay, then I'll after that, then we're going to attach it to the main body. Okay, so I'll do that and I'll show us. We are almost done. Okay, so I'll do this and I'll show us. Alright guys, so we're done. Okay, so I went ahead to fix the sleeve, and I just cut out this long strip, and I stitched it on top of the cuff. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fix my button and create a buttonhole here as well. I'll do the same on this other side. Okay, then I'll go ahead and overlock the hem part. Okay, and that's it, we're done. Okay, this is the back. Okay, so I'll overlock the facing as well, then I'll use hemming gum to hold it down. Okay, so I went ahead to fix my button and we're done. This is just a lovely top. Okay, I'm going to wear it on the mannequin so we can see. Okay, all right guys, so here we have it. This is lovely. Okay, the fitting is just great. Okay, so then the only thing left for me now is to overlock the hem and to fold it. Okay, now you can see the bust that how is laying flat. Okay, all right, let me turn the back so we'll see. Okay, so this is the back. You can see that there is no bulge. Okay, so everywhere is smooth. So we've come to the end of the video. Kindly like, share and subscribe. Just leave your comments and your remarks. Okay, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.